Hey guys, so apparently it's already been 2 months since I last did a vlog. I have no idea how that happened. I just checked the tag underneath the last one on this channel and it was like, yep, 2 months ago. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess most of the summer's passed already. Well, yeah, so how's it going? It's been a minute. I appreciate you guys who are still over here. All of you guys still subscribe to MGF Extra. It is nice to come here and check in every once in a while, doing an old style vlog, old fashioned vlog on the phone, unedited. So there's a lot to cover in this video. I'll try to be concise about most of it, but I'm usually not. And to get started, of course, Avengers Endgame, the showcases are still coming, and I am getting closer and closer to this first one with Captain America and the Iron Man Mark 85. To just be totally straight up with you guys, these are by far my best Iron Man and Captain America figures I have ever made, and you can see them in the preview photos that are already up over on like Instagram and all those places. But for right now, I'm holding them a little far away to save some of the work that I've done for the showcase. But I'm so proud of these so far. I mean, they're such a huge and vast departure from previous figures that it's been a really unique experience making them as screen accurate as I can, mixing colors, paying attention to so much more detail than I would have otherwise. I mean, the difference between this figure and the Captain America I would make in 2016 for Civil War, even last year for Infinity War, is just, forgive the pun, a stark difference. It's a stark contrast. And speaking of stark, check out that segue. The Iron Man Mark 85, I've been working on the legs these last couple of days. I might be able to finish them today, but painting this figure and making what is the last new RDJ Iron Man suit in Lego has been a pretty long, drawn out, and also somewhat surreal experience to look at this and be like, this is it. This, and also for Chris Evans' Cap, these are the figures that I'm going to kind of hold on a pedestal for a long time, because I won't be making new suits for them ever again. You know, this was it. This was it for Avengers Endgame. It was the conclusion of their stories, and really the same can be said for Black Widow, even though I'm sure next year, if I find the time, I'll make a new Black Widow for her prequel solo movie that takes place after Civil War. Speaking of the Black Widow movie, the whole Phase 4 slate was announced at Comic-Con earlier in July, and holy crap, that was one hell of a night. Phase 4 is pretty surprising, and honestly looks more like Phase 5 than I was expecting. I mean, inclusions like Shang-Chi and, you know, things like the What If shows or the Loki series, WandaVision. Those are just all things that I would have expected to come in Phase 5. I expected Phase 4 to focus primarily on Captain Marvel 2, Doctor Strange 2, which is in there, with Scarlet Witch, which is amazing. I mean, you know, Black Panther 2, Guardians 3. And it's not to say those things won't happen in Phase 4. We already know that Sony's, I'm sure, going to announce Spider-Man 3 will happen in Phase 4, but just so many crazy announcements with Phase 4 that was just so unexpected. Half of them, of course, being on the Disney Plus shows, but definitely most excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I actually made a really cool Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness edit to celebrate, which you might have seen if you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, any of those places. It turned out pretty cool. Those figures aren't new. Those are just the Infinity War variants. But either way, back on topic, Endgame is also out on digital, which is really great. I finally finished getting through the special features, the bloopers, the gag reel, and the director's commentary with, it's actually a director's and writer's commentary. All four of them were on it, and that was really cool. And nice, because I didn't really want to rewatch. I wasn't really ready to rewatch Endgame yet, but it was nice to have my head down working on figures while listening to them talk about the movie, you know, just glancing up at the different scenes. But yeah, man, I mean, it's been great because we didn't really have to go too long without Endgame. I mean, Endgame has been out of theaters for like, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? So it's been nice. There hasn't been a major gap where we've had to, you know, watch leaked clips or anything like that. It's been really nice to not have to wait for the movie, and then it's already coming out. The physical copies are coming out in a couple of weeks here, not even. But yeah, as for this first showcase, as I've kind of already mentioned in passing here and there, the first showcase featuring Captain America and Iron Man will be the first one for the Endgame series. And it will be, you know, the showcases will be coming in 2s and 3s. I haven't really decided on the order quite yet, but the plan is to do these two first and then go from there. I've already started on Black Widow, so the plan is to then move on to Black Widow and Ronin. Once I get through those two, depending on where I'm at with Thanos, then maybe do Professor Hulk, because really Professor Hulk, all I've got to do is shave off those abs and then just paint the whole big fig. It's literally just a paint job. Now that being said, beyond just that paint job, I will also have to make an alternative arm for the Nano Gauntlet, which should be fun, and it'll probably be the most exciting part of making the figure. Otherwise, it's just a really slow paint job. Now, as far as Thanos goes, though, I do have plans for Thanos that have started to differ a little bit from what I was originally intending on doing, and I'll get more into that after this first showcase. I don't really think it's time to talk about Thanos quite yet, because I think, has the potential to be by far the best figure out of all of them, easily, if it really goes according to plan, if I'm really able to make it work with the idea I have, which may not be a popular idea, I should say. But again, I'll talk more about that when the time comes. However, my buddy Andrew over at AV Figures did finish the brown Mjolnir cast. I alluded to this in the making of Captain America video. There would be a better Mjolnir, and this is it so far, coming in the form of a brown cast instead of a gray cast, because the Mjolnir hammer you saw in the preview photos and in that making of video were all from the Age of Ultron Thor figure that I made. And that one had a painted brown hilt, and the paint is still kind of chipping off of it a little bit. I just didn't mention that in the video. This one, however, thanks to Andrew, has been cast in brown, so I don't have to worry about the paint tearing off of the handle. And that's the big problem with painting anything onto a handle that's to be gripped by a minifigure. I also mentioned this in the Patreon post. You know, any paint you put on a handle that is to be gripped by a minifigure, I mean, paint just cannot survive the clutches of a Lego minifigure's hands. It doesn't work. I've tried over the years. Nothing I've personally tried has ever worked. But yeah, aside from that though, I mean, there's something else here that I think is pretty cool that'll be used for the video. I made a makeshift Red Skull, Stonekeeper Red Skull with I believe a cape from Cape Madness. That's a Ring Wraith torso, I believe, from Lord of the Rings. But more importantly, my custom painted Red Skull face from last year, before I kind of had to put the MCU 10 year showcases on the back burner. And then one of those ghost wraith looking pieces for the waist that I added some metallic paint onto to do like a faded effect. And it turned out really awesome. And the point is, this is basically a makeshift Stonekeeper Red Skull for the skits in this first Endgame showcase. Because of course we got to go to Vormir with Cap and Red Skull. But there's also this, which is pretty crazy. I kind of teased this a little bit in the Patreon post. This is the Iron Patriot Mark II sculpt by Tuminio. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Tuminio made this before Hot Toys revealed their figure. Now, sure, there's been limited reference of the Iron Patriot Mark II armor in the movie and in some 3D models released and some stills released after the fact from the movie, but really all the reference for the Iron Patriot Mark II came with the Hot Toys reveal for San Diego Comic-Con. And when they revealed this figure, if it would come up, that would be amazing. There it is. I mean, it was just godly to look at, but it also revealed, I'm sure, some things for Tuminio that I think he wanted to change. I think he mentioned it in his Instagram story that he might make a version 2 of that sculpt. If he doesn't, that's totally fine, because the point is, I'm so fortunate to be able to paint this. I'm so glad I was able to buy one of these from him, because this alleviates a lot of sculpting work. And sculpting work, I always try to alleviate that wherever I can. And that's a big part of, some of the plans I have for Thanos too, because sculpting work doubles the time it takes to make a figure. You think it takes long to paint these figures the way I'm doing it, when you have to first sculpt everything, I mean, good God, you're doubling the process, and it's slow, and it can be brutal. And so, sculpting where necessary, trying to avoid it if I can, and so far so good on that front. Either way, other things that have been happening, BrickFair Virginia 2019 is actually happening right now. Actually, the public days would have just closed up 30 minutes ago. I'm not there. And while I wish I could be there, sorry for the hard cut, I was really trying to avoid that. I wanted to go, it's just, it got repetitive. It got to a point where 2016, 17, and 18 were starting to blur together. BrickFair itself, the convention, never changes. The mocks are usually pretty amazing, but eventually, after you've gone to BrickFair that many times in a row, that many years in a row, you're there for your friends. And of course, you're always there for your friends. But when the show itself starts to lose its value, you lose excitement for the convention itself, and then you do everything that you can outside the convention, I started to think like maybe us coming back here every year and being like, wow, it feels like we were just here, kind of became something of a bad thing. And it's just really a bad case of burnout why I decided not to go back to BrickFair this year. However, I will try to go back in 2020. It's just next year, the problem is Star Wars Celebration Anaheim is at the end of August. BrickFair is at the beginning. So if I can somehow make that work financially, then sure. But financially this year was also pretty, things are pretty up in the air. And so I didn't think this was really it really wasn't wise to go this year. And so I decided to bail. I was seriously considering going again with my buddy Tate from the MGF podcast. Decided that, hey, I'm going to hop on a plane, kind of come over from California. It's going to be my first East Coast LegoCon. And then his flight fell through and I was like, yeah, I'm not going. And so even though it looks like it's been a really good time for them there, of course, you got my buddy Andrew from Maybe Figures there with his Clonier Bros, and they're making a bunch of clones there, and Aaron, LM9, and Shane, The Last Prime, and even Joe, one-on-one, made a surprise appearance. He hopped on a plane and flew over there for the remaining 3 days, and even Josiah, the Brick Barracks, Bricksly was there too, and Ryan, M&R, all of them, the Rebel Lug guys, I believe. I mean, they're all there having a great time, and that's awesome. I'm really glad they're all linking up and having, I've been having a great time over the last several days, but I'll be back next year, and maybe the year after that, or if not, the year after that. Anyway, so other things that have been going on. My studio is currently a disaster. I mean, it's honestly been worse, but I've got a lot of knockoff figures still all over the place. Some of them have to go back up on the shelves where I had them displayed, and then others need to go back in the bags. But I had all these out because I actually took a big group photo of my knockoff collection after I did a video on this knockoff Thanos, which is, of course, a knockoff of my Infinity War big fig of Thanos from last year. I did a whole video on it, which was actually a very easy video to make. And it kind of, I think, is about to hit 100,000 views, if it didn't already, which is amazing. So thank you for the support on that. But yeah, then this is pretty cool. This is a Quantum Realm suit that I got in from Life Bricks, which is pretty cool. All pad printed with metallic white printing. The red doesn't really show up as much as I was hoping it would, but this is pretty cool. I may or may not use this in the showcase, but I'll definitely use it as inspiration when I make my own Quantum Realm suit when the time comes. However, over here I've got the Phoenix Customs World War II cap, sporting the alternative head because I have that Chris Evans face currently on my desk with a custom hairpiece that I painted up for it. Not sure if I showed it in this vlog or not. I'll go ahead and show it again. But this is the Dragon Brick Peggy Carter, which is pretty amazing. And this is all pad printed too. And this just came in with a custom hairpiece. Just really phenomenal pairing of minifigures there. And I'm so glad to have those in my collection. But yeah, so that, like I mentioned, that World War II cap from Phoenix is actually sporting the alternate head. This is the real head, but I've got an Endgame Captain America face or hairpiece on it right now. And you can actually see the head. I think, you can check out Phoenix's Instagram to see what the face looks like. You'll see it in the showcase, but I did actually paint a hairpiece for that, and it's an Endgame style hairpiece. And coincidentally, like right as I got that World War II cap and Peggy, this also came out, the Marvel Legends 2-pack with the two of them, which is pretty cool. So pretty cool coincidence that came out right as I got those two pad printed Lego versions from Phoenix and Dragon Brick. But otherwise, that's gonna do it for this vlog. Hopefully it hasn't gone on for too long. Hopefully I'll be able to vlog again in the future if I actually remind myself to do so, or we'll just continue this endless cycle of vlogging 2 to 3 months later because I choose to paint or do other things whenever I have the fleeting thought to do a vlog. But on that note, there was something I wanted to mention in closing that I totally forgot about. First Endgame Showcase is coming soon. And yeah, I'm out of things to say. So, all right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.